Hey guys, it's Alexa again, and welcome back to Titanic. People go through a lot of lengths in order to look better than they already do. From makeup to haircuts to cosmetic surgery, there's a whole lot of ways to change how you look in order to improve. However, here's some of the stuff you're born with that you may not have noticed already make you attractive. Symmetry and asymmetry. It's common knowledge that the more symmetrical your face is, the more attractive you're considered. That's a big duh, right? Because to humans, evenness equates neatness and organization, so it makes sense that science tells us that we find symmetry in faces more attractive. Just hold on though, true symmetry in a face isn't always so great looking. Unless you're Gigi Hadid, who has a face close to true symmetry, it can't be too symmetrical, because that results in something a little weird. The small differences on the sides of our face can make you look more normal. On the other end, slight asymmetry is also considered attractive, namely in men, as it adds a charm and makes their smiles look more like a grin. Think maybe Bradley Cooper. The brow game. Brows alone can determine what your face looks like. They're just two patches of hair over your eyes, but a slight change can change how happy you look, how much your eyes stand out, how big your forehead looks, and how nice your smile is. Nowadays, it's all the rage to have bold, even bushy brows like Cara Delevingne. Research indicates, however, what's really important are two things: contrast and space. Eyebrows too close together isn't great, nor is it okay if they're too far apart. Also, in men and women, it was seen as more attractive if their eyebrows contrasted with hair color, meaning darker brows are a big yes. Some luscious lips. You're probably expecting us to say that fuller lips are prettier. You'd be right in the sense that people commonly prefer fuller lips, though that goes more for men who like women than the other way around. What people subconsciously look for in lips has more to do with the contrast and shape. Sound familiar? A study by Manchester University found that men find a woman's lips are her most attractive attribute, whether they realized it or not. The rule of averages. It doesn't sound like a compliment to be called average looking, and when we say that people find averageness more attractive, it doesn't necessarily mean unremarkable. In this instance, average means more like common. A study published in the Human Nature Journal explained that a face that looks more like anyone else brings to mind a diversity of genes, which nature programs us to seek out in a partner since it means healthier offspring. All the highlights. When it comes to how men and women view each other and look for in one another, there are a few small things that differ. This is all in general, of course, since everyone has their preferences that come in all shapes and forms. So commonly, people perceive women to look youthful and alive when their eye color contrasts with their lip color, since it brings more color to their face. It also applies to highlights near the lips and eyes because it makes them look bright. When it comes to men, those attracted to men will look for less contrast and highlight around the eyes and mouth, as these are seen as more traditionally feminine features. Look at your eye shape. What does it mean when we say someone has pretty or nice eyes? Well, let's start with the shape. Research shows that certain eye shapes are more desirable than others. In women, those with almond-shaped eyes are considered the most preferred. In men, oval-shaped is more preferred amongst women. Then we get to color. Even though people like to say that they prefer blue eyes because it's more unique, it appears that men who say they prefer women with blue eyes have blue eyes themselves. What really matters isn't the color alone, but how it contrasts with your lip color. The higher the contrast, the more attractive, at least on an unconscious level, because honestly, who's really paying attention to that? A twinkle in your eye. Color and shape aren't all when it comes to the small things that people can find attractive in you. There's a reason that glittery eyeshadows are popular and work well with someone's look. A twinkle in the eye can make all the difference when it comes to how beautiful you're perceived. Eyes may be a tiny part of your face, but they say a lot about you. So if your eye color or the amount of flex in your irises make it look like your eyes are twinkling, then you're in luck. A more mature look. Wait, didn't we just say that people, especially people who prefer women, look for signs of youthfulness in a partner? That's still true, but there are also those that will look for maturity in a partner, especially as we get older. It's mostly women that find older men more attractive, but the same can be said for the other way around. After all, who doesn't think Helen Mirren is beautiful? A study in 2012 concluded that women don't necessarily prefer older men, but they do prefer partners that at least look older. Some people are just born looking older than their age group, while everyone else has to wait. cheekbones way up there. Science tells us that society regards relatively higher cheekbones more attractive for some reason. Surely you notice when someone has high cheekbones, but do you really notice when someone has lower cheekbones? Not really. Yet in most cultures, high cheekbones equal more attractiveness when it comes to women. Higher cheekbones shows us that this woman has higher estrogen levels, and at the end of the day, we are highly affected by hormones. A sculpted face. There is so much to think about when it comes to just your face. We're told that we look for symmetry, youth, maturity, shiny eyes, and prominent cheekbones. Apparently, we like not only the shape of a face, but how defined it is. Look, people have their preferences. As a majority, humans prefer longer faces since it shows less fat on their face and is likely more defined in shape than someone with a round face. One of the most desired face shapes is the diamond, where the forehead and cheekbones are the widest point on the face, something we associate with elegance, at least in women. Outstanding beauty marks. It's a roll of the dice, really, when someone is born with a mole or a birthmark, especially on their face. Some people hate those features on their face, though once in a while they are referred to as beauty marks. While we talk a lot about neatness, plainness, and symmetry, but beauty marks bring a touch of uniqueness to one's face. Take Cindy Crawford. She would not be as big of a supermodel if she didn't have that mole over her lip. How do you sound? Humans have a more or less wide range when it comes to the pitches in their voices. You might have a regular pitch you speak at, but if you're dedicated, you can speak lower or higher if you want to. For women, a higher pitched voice is more preferable since it suggests your body is small, and therefore more feminine, and vice versa for those who are into men. Darker hair more desirable? Turns out that blondes don't have that much more fun. The idea that blonde women, that is, are more approached by men might have more to do with the fact that there are just less blonde people in the world, since 90% of the human population has darker hair. When it comes to men, however, it seems that people prefer darker-haired men as a majority. The Scandinavian Journal of Psychology published a survey in 2008 that showed brunettes were rated more positively than blondes. However, when it comes to courtship, an experiment done by the Université de Bretagne-Sud showed men were more receptive to blondes inviting them out. The conclusion: whatever hair color you might have, just work it, because there's something desirable in each, even if some people see it differently. Get that tan in. Depending on what part of the world you're in, some skin shades are considered more beautiful than others. While in Asian countries and some Latin American cultures, it's more desirable to have fairer skin, whereas in somewhere like the US, you see people trying to get tans or fake tans all the time. In a study by the University of Bristol, their findings showed that a skin color's darkness or lightness isn't necessarily what's found more attractive, but the hue to their skin. Golden hues indicate you're healthy and taking in the nutrients you need to. So if anything, don't hit that spray tan and eat carrots and apples instead. How pointy is your nose? When we say pointy nose, we don't mean something super prominent. In fact, the less noticeable your nose, the more attractive you will probably be deemed. If the nose is the drawing point on one's face, the less beautiful people consider them. A perfect nose may be more slender and pointy by society's standards. Hips don't lie. We bet you were waiting for a pun like that along with this photo of Shakira. Well, here it is. There is truth to that phrase though. Hips don't lie, and neither does how it affects people. For individuals that prefer women, most tend to look for a 7:10 hip-to-waist ratio, meaning the hips are slightly wider than the waist. Wide hips go hand in hand with how we think of childbearing, and even if you don't want kids, there's some biological part of you that thinks that's part of a requirement. Measure your arms. This is probably something you never really consciously thought about, and certainly not something you gushed about when it came to your crush in high school. Who looks at arm length? Humans do. You might have thought it was all about the legs, but that's just not so. Both men and women look for arm length when evaluating how attractive someone is. Long and slender is the key, as long as it's more or less proportionate, of course. Flawless skin. Beauty may only be skin deep, as they say. Still, the less blemishes there are on your skin, the more attractive you are. You can pack on all the makeup you want, but it all comes down to natural beauty. Glowing, flawless skin lets people know you take care of yourself. It's why a lot of us need makeup to cover those blemishes in order to feel confident. Nearly at number 1. Before we reveal the most interestingly attractive feature, let us know which of these you agree with, which of these you have, or which features you think you prefer. The reason for dimples. We consider dimples cute. That's something we can say is a common opinion. However, have you ever wondered why having dimples is considered pretty or cute? Dimples are caused by one of two reasons. If you possess a chin dimple, that means there's some sort of underlying cleft in the bone of your chin, or that your chin and the sides of your face didn't fuse together the right way when you were a fetus. Sounds harsh, but not really. For those born with cheek dimples, they either had shorter muscles around the mouth, or there's a defect in a large facial muscle. That defect is pronounced with a divide, known as a dimple. As for why humans like them, it does bring a certain cute, even babyish feature to the face, a feature that, on some level, makes us want to care or fawn over them, like we do babies. Thank you guys so much for watching and putting up with my nasally, sick voice. If you liked our video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. But before you go, make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell notification for more of our videos every day.